DNA Video Productions is a full-service video producer with a fleet of drones, 4K, and HD cameras, as well as a crew of video operators. We handle commercial and residential real estate videos, as well as events for promotional purposes. We create book trailers, both live-action and running stills, music videos, and website videos. We also film series shorts for online distribution and are currently involved in filming a political parody. We specialize in low-cost movie making. Call DNA Video Productions at 941-748-6865 or visit our website at www.dnavideoproductions.com. That's www.dnavideoproductions.com. Thank you. Our sponsor this month is Published, an affiliate of Village Voices. Published offers all author services from writing tips, critiques, manuscript evaluations, and editing, as well as tips to help you become published. If you prefer to self-publish, purchase the step-by-step book on publishing through Amazon, or purchase services a la carte, from formatting to creating custom covers, or even tips to gather endorsements. The staff is headed by 2 professional writers. After your books are published, either trade paper, electronically, or both, purchase marketing tips, web services, book trailers, or turn your book into an audiobook. Publish provides all your writing, publishing, and marketing needs. So give them a call at 941-748-6865. Contact them online at dgould497@aol.com or go to the website at www.publishedavillagevoices.webs.com. Good afternoon. Welcome to Culture Coast. The intro you just heard was by Al Musitano, and today we are speaking with author Ty Jodouin and his wife, who Ty has written a book, and she has helped him out with research and some other things. How are you doing, Ty?
I'm doing fine.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are here today to talk to you about your path to writing. You've already got 2 books out and more planned, but how did you decide to become a writer? Because that's not what you were in your life.
No, I started actually when I was in service, when I got interested in writing, because I wanted to talk about UFOs, which were very popular back in the 50s when I was in the service.
Now, which service were you in?
In the U.S. Navy.
So you were in the Navy.
And we were...
What got you interested in UFOs?
Well, because I saw one.
Okay.
In fact, half the crew of my ship saw it at the time. And that's what got me interested in writing, or not writing, but reading about UFOs. Because it was
so it excited an interest in you when you saw this.
Exactly.
How was it explained to the people on the boat that were on the boat with you?
Well, officially, the U.S. government doesn't believe in UFOs, so whenever they just see one, or a lot of people see one, they just say it's just an anomaly. a natural.
They try to find some other way to explain it away.
Yes.
So your whole ship sees this thing.
Yeah.
How many people actually believed it, or did they try to talk themselves out of it?
They try to talk themselves out of it because they think it's a natural phenomenon.
And nobody's going to believe them anyway.
Right, exactly.
So you have to try to explain it away.
Over the years, though, since then, I think a lot of people have changed their mind because there's a lot more.
I think it takes an open mind to say, do we really think that this is the only way life could have come about and become intelligent? And I know the religious people say, oh, well, yes, he created, but why couldn't he have created something else somewhere else? I mean, did we really think that that's it? That he doesn't, I don't know. It seems to me that it's very selfish to think we're the only thing.
There's been too much empirical evidence over the years to prove different, that there is actual life in other planets, other universes, and that's what got me interested in reading, and when over a 30 years period reading about them, then I decided to write about them, and that's what really got me started.
So you were in the service for 30 years?
No, I was in service for 10 years.
And then what did you do with your life? Because you didn't just do 10 years in the service and start writing books.
I was actually a printer for a while, a journeyman printer, and got reading a lot of books and printing. It kind of goes hand in hand. But from there, I decided to go be a firefighter, and I became a firefighter, and stayed in that profession for 28 years.
That has very odd hours, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, well, we were in a 24/48 system.
So did you, during the time that you were sitting there and there were no fires, did you ever write any articles or anything like that?
I was too busy to do too much writing, but I did a lot of reading in my spare time.
Okay, so you have been reading, and a lot of what you read was about UFOs. I've noticed in your books there's also a lot of science. You go into geology and geography.
Yeah, I was always interested in archaeology too. At the same time.
So the archaeology and finding ancient things. There was a word you even used in one of your books that I was like, what is that? I don't remember what it is right now, but it was you do use technical terms and.
Well, see, I went to school to writers' workshops. I did a lot of those. And they taught you mostly how to research. And as a matter of fact,
to make it realistic.
Yes.
To make it believable.
Yeah, I'm not into fantasy at all. I don't care for fantasy. I call my books New Age, although it's.
There are a lot about the Bermuda. These two are about the Bermuda Triangle as the central point.
This latest book is.
The latest, okay. A Distant Journey is about the Bermuda Triangle. Rogue Planet?
And also the Lost Count of Atlantis also. It's kind of
yes.
hand in hand.
Well, I think people have always related those two together for some reason, the Bermuda Triangle and Atlantis, even though I did some research when I was younger too, because it excited me. And I remember thinking that Atlantis would be closer to the Mediterranean for some reason. It just struck me that there's this big gap. When you put the continents all together, there's this big gap, and I'm like, that could be. There's a huge little continent, something the size of the Mediterranean out there somewhere that has broken off and been. So that was in my mind, but. Well,
okay. Also, they think it's more around the Caribbean area too, like.
Right, because they've seen the past. If you're overhead,
a lot more observations have been noted in that area.
Right, so. And I knew those had come about too, but as I was in my teens and early 20s when I was doing some research on it, that's what I thought was like that big hole in the Mediterranean that's where it was.
Can I add something here? As
Absolutely.
far as his background and how he got started, his really first published thing was stories from his experiences on the fire department in Guidepost. And that was his first, where he really was first published. Yeah,
all right.
A couple of his experiences that he had.
Experiences in the fire department. What kind of experiences? Real life things that happened to you,
yes,
but not to do with the UFO thing.
Exactly.
So
yes.
that sounds like it would be interesting too.
Yes, it was.
The behind the hose.
People ask me why I don't write a book about my experiences. Well, to me it was a rewarding job, but it was also job. I didn't think I should relish the hero part of it.
Right, because people lost their homes or their lives, and that makes it tough. But at the same time, if you write it from the heartfelt thing, the people you saved, that where do they go and what did they do? Because maybe you save somebody that will save the world. You never know. So there's
no follow up really afterwards.
No.
Although the one he did do, you could say, is kind of metaphysical, because his life was saved and he feels like it was an angel or something other earthly that told him what to do to save his life. So that was, I thought, very inspiring.
That's the one was in.
It was in Guidepost. They had an angel book that they compiled experiences of peoples, and his was one of them.
That's
that was like your first
foray into writing,
yes,
publication.
When I really
Pretty
took
much.
it seriously, then that's when I started.
Now, so you finished the fire department, and you did a little bit of writing, and you were in the printing field for a while. What you've researched all this stuff? It really incited your enlightenment, your enjoyment to research it all. What made you go, okay, I have a book? Was there somebody knocking at your consciousness saying, hey, you need to talk about me?
No, not so much that. I just thought there was a lot more to be said about UFOs. I mean, I'm a firm believer in them since I saw one, and nobody's going to tell me different that it wasn't a UFO.
So tell us what that UFO looked like.
Well, it was at night. It was around midnight, and I was a yeoman on board ship at the USS Des Moines at the time when we were in Rhodes, Greece.
So that's a huge ship.
Oh yeah, they're not in existence anymore. They're guided missile cruisers now, but back in those days it was almost the size of a battleship, but not quite.
Okay.
Anyway, we were as a yeoman. I stayed up late at night doing different work for officers, letters, whatever. I worked in the operations office. So I used to go up in the signal bridge and talk with the guys up there for a while before I went to bed. Well, that's when it appeared. And
so about what time?
About midnight.
About midnight.
And it was about the size, I'd say, of a silver dollar held at arm's length. That's how big it was. Real bright, more of a whitish than yellow. And it moved around very erratically.
How far away was it?
Well, distance, it was hard to, because in the morning, the official word was it was an anomaly. It was a
meteor, except that you're saying it moved back.
In military terms, they call it a bogey. But in the bogey, that means they really didn't know what it was, but they just handed it off as an anomaly, as some natural event.
And nobody had recording stuff like we do now with the cell phones.
Right, exactly.
I think we're catching more things now because I've seen quite a few on the internet, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's photoshopped. Oh, it's somebody filmed that and it's fake."
There's too much evidence to the contrary now. Yeah.
But now they just say, "Oh, well, it's fake."
So that's really what I'm doing now, is doing research, and I'm going more into parallel universes and stuff like that for my next book.
Okay.
But it's going to take a little time to do some research on it.
So your first book was Rogue Planet?
Yeah, Rogue Planet.
What was that about?
More about aliens than anything else, and
did they come here or did we go there?
No, they've been here for quite a while too. And I did a lot of scuba diving back in those days, in the 60s. I did a lot of diving up in Georgian Bay area in Canada. And that's where the basis of my story took place.
All right, tell us a little bit about the story. Just a little bit. Don't give us the culmination. We don't want the what do they call
give
that?
It away.
Well, you don't want to give away the ending.
Well, the hero of the story, of course, had to be a firefighter.
Of course.
And he was more or less getting ready to retire, if not already retired, I believe in the book. And he was going up to Georgian Bay area to do some diving with friends, Canadian friends that he met, over the years, which is true. As a matter of fact, I give an author's note at the beginning of the book that most of the story is true, except the part of the aliens. And, well, even then,
the diving part is
the
true.
diving part is all true.
Your experiences with diving.
Exactly. And so it's a matter of meeting aliens in Georgian Bay underwater and dealing with them and what they're here for. There's good aliens, there's bad aliens.
There's good people, there's bad people. Exactly. I would expect that.
And I'm trying to give to the reader, I gave emphasis more on how many aliens there are in the universe, not just our universe, but many other parallel universes as well.
All right. And, now, parallel universes, that's more like
like Earth.
Yeah, but
is it dimension or is it space?
It's that's
you don't go in a ship. You go through holes, correct, in time and space.
I explain that too. It's more like time tunnels. And as a matter of fact,
we've had quite a few sci-fis that have covered that possibility.
Yeah,
I loved it in Stargate.
Oh yeah.
In Stargate, they had both the regular traveling through to another planet, just straight travel in staying in the same time, but they also had the one where they were certain times when they would go through, and I remember when they got recreated somehow, there were doubles of them. It was like, no, you can't come back. You're not us.
Yeah. Right. Scientists have determined that there's like 10 universes that they know of, and I only deal with 4 of them, of course. With the 4th, of course, is time dilation, and that's there's time tunnels. They come different ways. There's millions. Star Trek gives a good example
yes.
of existence in space, and Einstein proved, and it's been proven now that Einstein was right, that you can travel in time. As a matter of fact, our astronauts lose time where we gain time. In other words, if they were out in space and come back 1,000 years later, the Earth wouldn't even be here because it'd be long gone. So Einstein's theory is true, and they're proving it all the time.
Yeah, I've seen that they've made leaps and bounds, and then they did that thing, I guess it's been 2 years ago, a group of nations, first world nations, sent something out and received it before they sent it. Mm-hmm. They actually broke the, not sound barrier, the light barrier. The
faster than light.
Yeah, they went faster than light. Mm-hmm. So they did that experiment. It was like,
for most readers who don't know that, it's 186,000 miles per second.
And they went faster than that, and they received it before they sent it. Like yes. It was momentarily before, but it was still before they sent it from one point in Earth to the other. So that was interesting.
So anybody that believes in Star Trek, and I always was amazed at the depth of information they gave out.
A lot of research.
Yes.
And when you got a good sci-fi, like Stargate, Star Trek and Stargate, and a few of the others, but those two really come to mind.
Yeah, I think
they did serious research.
More into New Age than it is in the sci-fi. Like I said, sci-fi can incorporate fantasy, and I don't deal in fantasy.
Right.
It's strictly things that I've learned over the years, and I incorporated into a story and put it in my book.
Right, and it's still entertaining.
Yeah,
all right, so now tell us about your most recent published book, A Distant Journey.
Well,
when did you start that one?
Well, we got to go back a few years. I wrote these 2 books that was actually about 30 years ago now.
You wrote them 30 years ago, but you just published them now. Is that because of the changes in the publishing world?
That's true. But also I did a lot of changes. Basically, the stories are the same, but much more developed.
And you've improved your writing and all of those things.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's when it started. A Distant Journey has to do more with Atlantis, because I was always fascinated with that.
I read it. It was a very intriguing story.
And I also, of course, I think...
I like the very ending where somebody came back from the, was it 30 years ago or more? No, 50. Whenever, the plane guy.
27 years to be exact.
It was 27 years?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That was very cool.
Well,
and he hadn't aged a day.
Yeah.
And everybody he loved was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the action is on a Coast Guard cutter headed by a woman, right?
Yeah,
which makes it interesting.
It was a female captain, yeah.
And she disappeared.
Oh, well, yeah, yes. At the end, as a matter of fact, the cover of the book incorporates a lot of the ending of the story. In other words, that's how the ending comes with a tidal wave what do you call it?
Tsunami?
Yeah, tsunami. Really, one of those really
And
impossibly big waves.
And that's what's on the cover of the book right there. So that kind of gives the reader to see what happens to my hero. So, and I've been asked am I going to do a sequel? Well, yes, it's going to be a sequel.
Okay, great. So is that what you're next working on?
Yes, and I'm doing research on it now.
And do you have, other than that sequel, do you have some other books that you've got ideas that are germinating and going,
No,
I gotta do this one too, or is the sequel the...
I'm not as talented as a Stephen King or anything like that.
Well, you don't have to put out a book a year.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm kind of... It's not a job anymore. It's a hobby.
And it's fun.
And it's fun.
You enjoy doing it.
Exactly.
And you know what I think he does? He lives the books when he's writing. I think he is in the characters' heads. Even
No. They're in his
well,
head.
in his, yeah. Even when he's walking around doing other things, I still think
you're
doing the
you're,
book.
Yeah, I write that way too.
Yeah.
When I'm really invested in the story, when it's something I truly believe in. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all I do is I walk around and they're in there. They're doing their thing, and then I'll figure out how to throw a wrench in the works and make them, okay, so how are you going to get over this? And if you do that, your story just flows, and every time it gets too easy, they're starting to relax. Nope, time to throw another monkey wrench in there.
That's exactly right.
It keeps the tension up, and each monkey wrench has to be bigger until they get to the climax at the ending, and then it's like, okay, can they beat this or not? And sometimes they can't, and you have a tragedy, or sometimes they do, and you have, yay, the hero wins, but it's you really don't have a whole lot of ways to go, but you have to succeed or fail at a goal that has been going on through the whole book. Like, okay, I gotta find this, or I gotta do that, and sometimes their goals will change because of something they learn along the path, but they don't.
Well, that's what got interested me in rewriting the books, because over the 30-year period, I learned a lot more of all the books I did read. As a matter of fact, I always tell people I used to belong to the boys' club when I was in grade school, and I was an avid reader, and always have been. But they actually tabulated how many books I read during that year, and I became Boy of the Year for that. I read 237 books.
My dad was like that. My dad was like that. He had a list, and he had it all. He was an engineer, so it was all coded. He kept it on the computer and in alphabetical order by author. I was so Robert Ludlum read every single book, and I mean, he would go to the library and take out 5 or 6 books a week and read them all and take them back. It was just incredible that he read so much. Then he finally got a Kindle, and it was really nuts. Then he was like reading 2 books a day. He's like, Dad.
I used to work on an officer that was a speed reader. And it was amazing how much information he absorbed. And because I asked him one time, how much do you absorb at all these books you read? He read like 2 or 3 books a day, and that's in speed reading. And he
Do you
said,
enjoy them, though?
That's what I was interested in. And he said yes, to a point. He says he can absorb about 80% of the story.
The gist.
But
I just wonder how much you enjoy it when you're scanning like that. You don't, because I have done speed reading, and I don't find that I miss the senses, the visual, the hearing, the smells.
Yeah,
you
you're
miss
too
that.
fast to absorb all
Right,
that. Yeah.
right. You don't get that part of the story.
Yeah,
You just know, okay, he went after the bad guy did this, then he did that, and then he got the bad guy. So you get, but then they all become the same, and all you're really getting is the plot and maybe a touch of the character. So I think I would like fast readers, but not speed readers. I read about 300 words a minute. So is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's about right.
Yeah,
and that it's fast, but
we have a neighbor that
it depends on if I like it too. You give me a textbook, and I'm not going to read 300 words a minute. I'm down to about 50, and I'm struggling. But
we have a neighbor that does a lot of reading, and she's more or less I wouldn't call her a speed reader, but she
just a quick reader.
Quick
They
reader.
just
She can go through a book a day at least.
Yeah, I used to do that. I'd stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning
yes.
reading.
I got to tell you the one book, 3 books that I know for sure that I could read again over and over, and that's 3 Corners to Nowhere by Martin Caden, and also Mendelhoff Conspiracy by the same author, Martin Caden. And then my last one that I read was I stayed up all night reading was Jaws by Peter Benchley. That was before the movie came out.
Yeah, there's one I really liked. It's more of a fantasy, but maybe not. I'm not really sure. Green Mansions. I don't remember the author's name.
Oh my gosh, that goes way back.
Yes, way back. But it just, yes, I read it as pretty young. And I was just sucked into that world. It was down in South America, and it was about a people that we don't usually see. And they were hidden from civilization, but they were, I just was so in love with that whole thought process. So, where can people find your books?
Well, through Amazon and through Kindle.
CreateSpace.
And CreateSpace.
All right. And do you have a website?
We have...
You have Facebook.
Facebook with his name, Ty Jodouin.
Okay, yeah. And that's T-Y for the first name.
Yes.
And then the last name is Jodouin.
Yes,
so that's on Facebook, and they can learn more about the books and your upcoming work that you're going to be doing. But you do not have an official website at this time, right?
No,
okay,
no.
That's all right. But you should get one in the near future. I mean, if you're going to have another book, we need a website.
Marketing is a whole different
realm. Totally.
I'm not into that.
It is very... I know. When do you have time to market if you're busy writing?
Well,
They're two different hats.
My wife does a lot of work for me, though, as far as...
Thank you, Helen, for doing that part of it.
But it is an expertise in marketing, and boy, it's hard.
I appreciate you both being on Culture Coast. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Nightmares. Frightful visions during the night, causing terror and loss of sleep. Daymares. Frightful visions during the day, causing fear and paranoia. Gothmares. Gothic visions that can happen anytime, causing horror and disgust. But sometimes they offer answers. Read Gothmares if you dare. Gothmares, a young adult novel by Al Musitano, available on Amazon and fine bookstores everywhere.
Village of the Arts, the largest artist colony in the state of Florida, located on 42 acres, includes artists, homes, galleries, gardens, and restaurants featuring handcrafted gifts, fine art sculptures, painting, photography, enviro art, healing arts, books, mystics, and musical variety. A few of the galleries are unique in their offerings. Village Voices specializes in books and art created exclusively by Florida residents. The Dancing Crane Gallery offers fine art, custom jewelry, and unique, innovative art. The Village Mystic offers all things metaphysical: meditation, massage, mediums, aromatherapy, psychics, shamans, Reiki healing, and the gem mine, where you can mine for your own personal treasure. Yoga Arts offers classes or one-on-one coaching. Musicians and bands can be found throughout the area. Many of the artists and musicians offer classes. Restaurants and bakeries provide respite for the weary and magic for the foodies. Visit during the first Friday Art Walk and stroll through the shops and galleries enjoying free appetizers, wine, music, and demonstrations. For hours and information, please visit the website at www.villageofthearts.com.